Have you ever lain awake at night wondering whether the choices you're making actually matter? Whether the job you took, the person you married, the city you moved to, whether any of it was already decided long before you were born? Or maybe you've gone through something painful and asked yourself, was this part of God's plan? Did he see this coming? Did he allow it? And if he did, then what does that say about who he is? This is one of the most honest questions a believer can ask, and today we're going to answer it directly from Scripture. Not with vague spiritual comfort, but with real biblical truth that will change how you see your past, your present, and every decision ahead of you. Here's why this question matters so much. If God planned everything, then your choices feel meaningless. But if your choices are completely free, then God feels distant and uninvolved. Most believers swing between these two extremes and end up either fatalistic, just waiting for God's plan to unfold, or anxious, terrified of making the wrong move and ruining everything. But the Bible actually holds both truths together, and understanding how changes everything. Let's start with what Scripture clearly says about God's plan. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." This verse was not a general encouragement poster. It was spoken to a specific people in a specific painful season, exile. And God was saying, even here, even in this, I have not lost the plan. Psalm 139:16 goes even further. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. Before you took your first breath, God saw every day of your life. He is not reacting to your story. He is authoring it. Ephesians 1:11 tells us God works out everything in conformity with the purpose of his will. Everything, not just the big moments, not just the spiritual ones. Everything that touches your life passes through his sovereign awareness. So yes, God has a plan. It is real, it is personal, and it is purposeful. But here is where many believers get stuck. If God already planned it all, why does the Bible spend so much time telling us to choose? Deuteronomy 30:19 says, "I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life." God doesn't say this to someone with no real options. He says it because the choice is genuinely theirs. Proverbs 3:5-6 instructs us to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. Notice that, submit to him. That's an active decision, something you do, not something that happens automatically. Joshua challenged an entire nation. Choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve. Jesus himself invited people to follow him. He never forced them. Throughout all of Scripture, God consistently speaks to people as if their decisions carry genuine weight, because they do. So, how do we hold both of these together? Here is the key. God's sovereignty does not cancel your choices. It works through them. Think about Joseph. His brothers betrayed him out of jealousy and cruelty. That was their choice, their sin. And yet, at the end of the story, Joseph tells them, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." Two intentions, one outcome. God did not remove their agency. He wove his purpose through it. Think about Esther. She did not stumble into saving her people by accident. Mordecai told her, "Who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this?" She still had to choose to act, and she did. Her courage was real, and God's plan was also real. This is how God works. He does not override your will to accomplish his purposes. He is sovereign enough to work through your will, your mistakes, your detours, and your decisions, and still bring you exactly where he intended. So what does this mean for your life right now? It means you are not responsible for controlling every outcome. You are responsible for walking faithfully in every moment. You do not need to have a 10-year plan perfectly mapped out. You need to seek God today. Take the next faithful step. Trust that he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion. It means your past mistakes have not disqualified you from purpose. God already knew every wrong turn you would take and built the path around them. It means the season you are in right now, even if it feels like a detour, is not outside his plan. He has not lost the thread of your story. God has a plan for your life. It is written, it is personal, and it is purposeful. Your choices are also real. They matter, they shape your story, and God calls you to make them faithfully. And these two truths do not cancel each other. God is sovereign enough to work through every choice, every mistake, and every season to bring you where He always intended. Proverbs 16:9 says, "In their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps." You get to plan, you get to choose, you get to move forward with purpose. And God, in His faithfulness, establishes where those steps actually land. That is not a limitation on your life. That is the greatest security you could ever have.